Like the FlyQuest one, you actually spell out FlyQuest with like your hands, and I don't know how that works.
I also don't.
Yeah.
I do full transparency. I haven't watched any LCS. I literally watch this region and sometimes LCK maybe.
I also have not watched LCS, so I would not be able to tell you if there are FlyQuest gang signs or not in the LCS.
But you know what? We're free to postulate. So
I mean, it could do, it could not. I prefer to live in a world.
yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah, let's pull it back to this one real quick because we have hit the rift in the short time that it's taken us in between draft and now. However, I wanted to very quickly talk about what these comps do best, just so that we have an idea. Specifically, since we've got a Blitzcrank on one side, a Sejuani on the other, what does it mean?
What does it mean? What does it mean? Well, Los Grandes, they've got some sort of strong pick and skirmish options. When I look at a Na, when I look at a Wukong, when I look at an Annie, these are champions that function very, very well in 3v3s because they're able to bring out a lot of that strong burst. And they're very, very flexible champions in terms of the amount of CC that they bring as well. Quite similar, actually, to, I think it was Loud's top side in Game 1, where you just had a load of inherent synergy between the champions, which means that they're going to be able to fight fairly evenly. The counterpoint to that, too, is Loud have got Renekton and Sejuani, which really, really hurts to fight against, despite the fact that it doesn't necessarily synergize as well with the Talia as you would necessarily like. So I think for Los Grandes, it's going to want to be skirmishing around those level 6 marks with the Wukong and with the Annie. But for the side of Loud, I think you can kind of chill. Again, Robo, though, not chilling at all. You can play very aggressive onto the Gnar as this Renekton when here it's in the mini Gnar form.
It's exactly what we were expecting as well, especially when he's hitting level 2 first. You've got to make the punish work. Croc actually going to be spotted on a ward for right now, so some interesting information does get given over to Ranger, and this isn't mirrored in any way. Well, you may have a pretty good idea of where Ranger started. Where he is, totally different story. First hook going to land on the bot side. This is big as Seos goes below half HP, and it's not even close to being traded back as Los Grandes back off.
So this is the thing about Blitzcrank specifically into Renata. Renata is really, really good into a lot of these engage, a lot of these hook-based supports, because she can provide strong disengage in the top side.
See if it works out.
Disengage from Loud there, just about backing away for the dive. Sorry there, dear, I was just waiting with bated breath. I mean, the wave's coming in, and here it is. Mini Gnar, but not particularly vulnerable, at least in terms of the HP.
Ranger is not going to be spotted until it's really too late. Robo almost certain to die right now as Croc tanks almost 3 shots. Ranger fishing for these kills, does have the dash, but also doesn't want to commit into the 1v2, even with the health bar is that low. What it will get him is the top side Scuttle Crab, and most importantly, his top laner's life, as here it is still alive, if only down a summoner.
That felt very weird. That felt very not unsure almost from Robo and Croc there in the way that they were playing this out. And I like this from Los Grandes actually walking up with the Blitzcrank, using the threat of that hook to force away Root and Sales. But the reason that you are picking this Blitzcrank into the Renata specifically is because Renata can disengage a lot of other pick-based supports, stuff like the Amumu, stuff like the Leona, stuff like the Nautilus. But with a Blitzcrank, you're not pulling yourself into the enemy team. You're pulling that one person towards you. So the Renata, not as effective in that scenario at keeping her teammates alive.
Oh, I just want to see the highlight plays as much as we get to see a Blitzcrank, which is very little. You live for that one time that a hook just utterly changes this fight, that it blows up Root for a second. And unlike, say, Natuno, who on one of his comfort champions has the safety inherent in the Xayah pick, Root doesn't really have any of that. They're both running Cleanse Flash. They should be equally hard to kill, but Natuno can go invulnerable at will. The thing that separates Xayah the most from other carries. This is a nice shot.
Yeah, this is I've not seen this before. This is very, very cool. I always felt like the junglers were left out with the sort of tri-lane setup that they go for. Nice to know that we're still giving these guys some love.
And you know, it is a crucial matchup, right? Robo and Ranger was one of the matchups we talked about at the start of the day. Croc, clearly, one of those players that wanted to, especially in his like entry into the CBLOL, make a lot of big plays. I realized I said Robo at some point. I don't know what I said that about. But when Croc came into the CBLOL, he was this big styling jungler. He was he was able to, I mean, make a lot of plays, not only for his team, but specifically for himself, picking up solo kills in the jungle all the time. Ranger had the opposite year last year, basically hurtling downwards and not really able to catch himself. Now has finally found himself one of the most stable junglers in the league, and they've been, I don't know, really influential back and forth, specifically on Sejuani, because that's the pick of the day. But, we got a Wukong here, too. We got a Trundle.
I mean, hey, you get Sejuani, plus you get free boar. And if I've ever been in a situation where I've seen something advertised with free boar, I'm on board,
That's true.
You've got to be. But somewhere else we've been seeing stability is actually in the top lane. There have been a couple of looks in from Croc towards Herit, but the Gnar hasn't fallen down just yet. You see him taking a recall on the mini map there, a little bit further away from his tower than he would usually do, just respecting the potential for Croc to be there, to be making a dive happen whilst his team are taking this dragon on the bottom side. That's really, really heads-up play for Herit, and it means that he's not falling unnecessarily to disadvantages.
And Los Grandes are playing that really well simultaneously, knowing that there's a lot of pressure up towards the top side. They're able to not only take the dragon, but transition it down into a very small but effective gank that gets double summoners out of the Loud support.
I mean, this still doesn't feel good, right? You are being proxied at level 6, and you know that if you step up, there is a very, very serious risk of dying. Robo here just trying to deny as much of this CS as possible and build a lead for himself coming out of the top lane, which is going to be enough to carry Loud to victory. Yeah,
lose-lose situation for Herit as you talk about going down CS. When you're down 20 CS and when you've lost a turret plate, you may not have actually died. You may still have a 0 in the death column, but from a gold perspective, you have died.
Yes. And it's one of the subtle realities, the nuances of laning that is sort of difficult to appreciate when you are just looking at the scoreboard. And once again, we're finding ourselves in a pretty even game state. I think game 1, game 2 were sort of characterized by how one team was able to get an advantage and do fair things with it. I think Loud a little bit quicker than Los Grandes in that regard, but still, you had one team coming out with the advantage. Game 3, it was much more, okay, these guys are both even until Loud was able to break the game. Once more, we are seeing a fairly even game with teams trading pressure on both sides of the map.
Yeah, what I really like about this game when contrasted with Game 3 is that it's even, but it's not even across the entire map. As you said, we're trading now, and it's not this like 5-man pressure play. But instead, our top lane is strong, our bot lane is strong. Let's see which of these sides of the yin yang can match up better when we get into the mid game. Nice flash forward from Zay. Does find the hook onto Root. Still has flash and cleanse available, but Ranger gets up in their face with the interrupt. A second chance at life is shut down as Root gets shooed through after his bailout. And Los Grandes make a clean move on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, and that was really well timed. You saw that massive wave being stacked up by Root and Sales. They were just trying to get that stacked up and then take a reset. But Zay, very, very aware of the play with that Hex Flash, making sure that an engage starts. And Los Grandes are the team picking up first blood in Game 4.
Robo continuing to, maybe not proxy the wave, but force Herit away from the tower. This is that trade that Loud knew they were opting into and that they've now finally paid for. See what Netuno can do. This is a big investment from Los Grandes. They've tried a lot of things. Netuno has been shut down left and right. They are finally putting every egg in this Xayah basket and praying to God that it works.
Netuno's a pretty good AD carry.
MVP.
Is he good enough to carry Los Grandes through this series? That is still yet to be seen. But the situation that he's going to have to deal with, that is going to present itself to him come team fights, is better than it has been in the past. The dive on Loud, not quite as present as we've seen from them before. I think they are a bit more focused on the front to back. If Robo finds a flank, he can still be absolutely disgusting. But look at his inventory. It doesn't look like we're going to be seeing that Blade of the Ruin King rush. So we're either going to be getting a straight Prowler's Claw, which would be really bad for Natuno, or something else, which would probably be all right for him.
Yeah, I am wondering, actually, now that you've pointed out the lack of Blade of the Ruin King, how Robo actually wants to play this game. It's possible that he still side lanes against Hirit, but I'm getting more of a team fight vibe from the way he's building so far. Nice jump away on the ultimate. That is, I mean, Croc must have known that it was coming.
Yeah. That's like, you throw that, you're like, hold on, wait, he can just press W, can't he?
Yeah. Not great.
Not the worst thing in the world. It does mean that Loud are a little bit less likely to contest this Drake. But again, it's second Drake. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. And this one gonna be an ocean, so perhaps a little bit more sustained presence, especially if you are in a lane with heavy poke lava, that you might be able to work through a little bit better. However, not giving up on where it truly matters. Top side win for Loud. If Robo doesn't 1v9 this game, something's gone horribly wrong.
You're bullying here. That is... It's not a nice thing to do. What has he done to you? He's just chilled this game. He's been respectful. He's backed away when you've tried to pressure him. And the only prize he's gotten for all his respect and his deference, and honestly his correct League of Legends gameplay, is a 40 CS deficit. A Renekton that took all of the tower plates and is going to get second in a tower
at 12 and a half
minutes.
I can't believe they just get that. What? Like, the rest of Los Grandes aren't even moving to address the play. They never even looked at top lane. It's like they've covered up that part of the minimap and gone, we just don't want to think about that. That one's that's not our game.
But this is like horrible, right?
This is really bad.
It's been put in such a hole. And Robo, we are going to be seeing a Gore Drinker, so it's a bit more of a team fight focus build in a pure bruiser sense. But if he's got 2 full towers worth of distance that he can push out that top lane, he's got so much priority to join fights with the rest of his team. Now the caveat to that is it's a Renekton.
Yeah, and
oftentimes that has been a caveat enough in itself for it to disprove any notion that a carry is going to come through. But the real focus of Los Grandes' composition is this Xayah. And I don't know, strong as Robo is, if he's in a position where he can actually reliably get on top of her and remove her from team fights.
Certainly drawing some of the support away from her now. Take that pun as you will. Zai did have to jump up towards the top side. Here it actually rotating down bot and again getting bullied away from the tower. This time not by Robo but by Croc, who has decided that here it is his arch nemesis of the day. Root and Seos going to be able to get right back into whatever small advantage they had lost during the earlier stages of this round, but a teleport right behind them could cause some serious problems. They've got no effective way of disengaging. Flash available for both of them, but Seos burns his. Root still conserving the flash as he's got the ability to get out over the wall. Teleport in the back line as in comes Robo, but before he gets there, Lava gets deleted, and now that Robo is here, he's got plenty more health to deal, but does end up falling before he's able to take anyone out. Croc continues the fight, jumping onto Hirit, who goes down, and in a 2-for-1 exchange, Loud come out on top.
Okay, dear, we're the CBLOL. We are fighting bottom lane for no reason whatsoever. But Loud come out on top, right? Robo, the only one to fall down. We were questioning how this Renekton was going to be able to access backline. Well, if the enemy team just walks past the wall, that gives you a pretty good spot. It's a decent TP from Lava, but Root has all of his summoners, so he can just cleanse that Tibbers away. And this puts Loud in a really good position. CS can just drop that ultimate, hits onto so many people. And now this looks bad, but Robo is actually kind of perma-CC'd here, and he's not able to assassinate the members of Los Grande like he would have liked to. So ultimately ends up being a 2-for-1 in favor of Loud, but could have been a hell of a lot worse for Los Grandes.
Yeah, take away from that is that Robo is furious. No.
Yeah.
That should have been so good for him. And it'll turn into another fight pretty darn shortly, as it looks like Loud do want to keep Los Grandes at bay for as long as possible. The other thing, I mean, obviously, I didn't call it out in the fight itself, but what a hostile takeover. That was so good. And it's probably going to happen again because Lava, Ranger, Zai, they're all trying to get together and deathball you. We're not as great against deathballs, and we saw the first instance of it, but not the last.
It's Renata Glass versus Deathball comps. It's you cannot position like that against her. That's why you pick the Blitzcrank, because it specifically puts you in a place where you don't need to walk forward to find your engage. But Los Grandes, they got too excited there. They allowed themselves to get baited in a little bit, and that's not something that you can afford to do against an Aphelios, Renata, Talia, champions that excel at enemies coming into them and then re-engaging for a final punch. Los Grandes, they're still in a half-decent position in this game. They've still got those Drakes and can play for the third one spawning in 30 seconds, but they're down 2k gold, which is a little bit more relevant at this stage.
Yeah, if I'm playing on Los Grandes, and I'm not, I'd hold off on this dragon. Netuno needs more items. He is the carry of this team unquestionably, and Loud getting this Drake, I mean, it's their first one of the series. It's not going to change everything for them. If anything, it'll just make sure the game goes longer, where Robo eventually should become less of a threat. Hands off.
I think Los Grandes might go hands-on.
They very well might.
Rift Herald summoned in the bot lane, so they're going to be getting at least a tower out of this play, but it looks like they want some more. That's a very good Weaver's Wool from Tinones.
Separates the team for a little while, but Dragon resetting straight into the center of the pit does give Los Grandes a great angle. Zai gets caught, flashes away. In goes Ranger getting chewed through. He uses the clone way too late and bites the dust. That is insta-FF on the Dragon. As soon as he's down, Los Grandes have no hope.
I tell you what, credit to Los Grandes for not getting sucked into the sort of sunken cost fallacy that teamfights can often be, but you sure saw the issues they had with approaching Loud base on. This Wukong can't really get in cleanly. Hear it wasn't able to get in cleanly. If you are going to be trying to approach teamfights with those bruisers, they need to be on flanks. Otherwise, Loud can disengage them so easily.
I'm liking what we saw out of Loud there as well. You called out the Weaver's Wall from Tinone's big upgrade from his first Weaver's Wall a couple games ago. So big ups to him. And now 2-0-1 on the Talia. He's got plenty of damage to throw in alongside Root as this AD carry continues to scale up. Slowly but surely, the promise of the Aphelios. And I dare say the prayer of Loud as they get later into this game, because once Robo starts to fall off, once Croc isn't able to CC everyone as reliably, once Tinones has some magic resist built up against him, the only true hyper carry here is the Aphelios.
Yeah, it always comes back to AD carry being the main role. Yeah, give me all your CS, give me every single last bit of it. But I mean, we've said that this series is going to be somewhat defined by what happens to the AD carries, and that has proven to be the case. Once again, though, we are getting trading from these teams, and Loud taking their second Tier 2 tower in under 20 minutes is very impressive, considering this isn't off the back of some massive Rift Herald push. This has just been Croc and Robo fighting against turrets.
Yeah, the series may be defined by the AD carries. This game has been defined by top jungle, by Croc and Robo. They are deciding everywhere that Loud want to be. They are the cornerstone of the game plan in the fourth one, the potential last one of the day. And when everything's on the table, this is what Loud are going back to is really the most reliable game plan for them. They saw that Robo got going and they went, this is momentum we can work with here. When Robo is on, we've seen him win playoffs before.
Yeah, and obviously Loud will be hoping for something similar. One of the 3 12 and 6 teams coming into playoffs, Los Grandes. One of the other 12 and 6 teams, but only one is going to be able to progress through the winners bracket at the moment. It's looking like Loud might be setting up for a play around this mid lane.
They've certainly got the catch. Now, Natuno burns the summoners, it gets out over the wall, and leaves the tower to fall down to Loud. Their ultimate objective was secured. The kills wait for another day, as Los Grandes did an immaculate job of disengaging in that fight. See what they can do as we now approach the Baron that has just spawned in the last minute.
Yeah, Loud have taken more towers than kills this game, and it really does feel like with every game in this series, it's getting cagier and cagier. The impetus on these teams to play mistake 3 is becoming even more important, and that's resulting in a little bit less action than we are used to in the CBLOL. It has ultimately been favoring Loud over the course of this game pretty consistently, though, and considering that they're on match point, Los Grandes are going to need to come back quickly if they want to keep this series alive.
Also, we have to touch on what just happened. I know that we'd rather not because it was a little rough for Seos from a PR perspective, but that's stopwatch down. And
yeah.
Loud's backline, all the easier to dive now. When it's a Zanya's, you can let it go. When it's a stopwatch, you do have to worry just a little bit. Pay that respect that now Seos actually getting insta-deleted is a lot more feasible, and perhaps hostile takeovers a lot less threatening, because if you get hooked in by a Blitzcrank, now you're certain to die.
Well, exactly. You are at that point now where a blitz hook means certain death. Natuno is on 2 items. Lava is getting very, very close to a Void Staff of his own. So Los Grandes getting to that point where Loud need to be careful approaching any fight. Another Drake spawning, 20 seconds until this one. Los Grandes, they gave up that 3rd Drake of the game towards Loud, but I don't want to give too many over. If you stack up these Infernals, it can turn into quite a buff even without the soul.
Look at how little vision they have. Loud are just trying to slowly enter this river as safe as they can. Or rather, Los Grandes trying to enter the river as safe as they can, while Loud have complete control of the pit itself. Gonna start at this dragon confidently, but Robo does get engaged onto on the side. Nice grab on Natuno. That's a force out of the ultimate, and instantly Croc recognizes weaknesses. Robo's coming over the wall as well, but Croc does the deed all on his own, taking out Natuno and having it traded away as Seos and Tinons fall as well. You gotta keep your AD carry in this game, but he gets picked by the hook out of Zai and shut down by Ranger. Fortunately, Robo's still in the game, and we didn't spend the first 20 minutes of the game giving him gold for nothing.
Yeah, no, that extra assist, really effective use of the Renekton there, as they will eventually fall down. Honestly, that team fight, it felt like Los Grandes getting a little bit too high feet. Ranger engaging onto onto Renekton. Probably not the best strategy, but it means that another Drake is going to be going over in favor of Loud, and that gold lead is going to grow that little bit more. Los Grandes, they are bleeding out slowly in this game, and Loud, they are like sharks. They sniff that blood, and they are looking for a next opportunity to strike.
It's perfectly exemplified here. You called it out. As soon as Natuno gets bumped, everybody on Loud knows exactly what the job is. Cleanse and ult expended? Yes, please. Croc gets to walk it in. Credit where it's due. Lava and Herit do a great job of just obliterating the backline while all this is happening. By the time that Croc finally shows up, your AD carry's almost dead, and credit to Zai picking up the kill. But Robo and Croc have been the story of this game, and they're the story of this fight, as at the 20-minute mark, they are probably about as strong as they're going to be for the next couple minutes. Once we hit 30, Renekton's going to get a little less effective, but for right now, he's a god.
Yeah, at this point in the game, the champions that deal the most damage are the bruisers. So those should be your targets in these team fights. taking out Natuno, taking out Root is nice, but it's really these top laners that bring the damage. Here come Loud again.
He pops Dominus. Robo hasn't gotten to play the game yet, but then he comes slicing and dicing his way through the roster of Los Grandes. They explode with the Infernum ult, and here it does get a trade back before going down, leaving no one alive. Everyone on Loud gets to retreat back onto the Baron and pick that up, while Croc, unfortunately, waits into the death screen.
Yeah, he's just chilling there. Armsy there. He's not got very much to do for the next 20 seconds or so, but I think for the rest of Loud, this is going to be fairly elementary stuff. It is difficult to give up a Baron to the enemy team when only the enemy Blitzcrank is alive. And honestly, that was Los Grandes taking all of the advice that we gave them in that last fight, kind of throwing it out the window. We saw an attempt at a flank come through from Hirit, but it was a little bit too late, and it was Loud that were just able to pull that trigger a little bit quicker. You see how the Wukong doesn't function well when it is going backwards. You see how Los Grandes as a whole don't function well going backwards. Hirit here trying to rescue something from the play, but yeah, no, that's too aggressive. That's too silly, honestly, from Los Grandes' top laner. And now Loud are in a very, very strong position.
And I'm going to call it out because I play support. What a hostile takeover from Seos.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've been denied this Renata for so long. Seos, of course, has shown Renata before, but never to this level, never to the level that Loud are playing on right now. Seos is from the backlines running this game and living out that battle mage fantasy, while Robo gets to do the dirty work in the front lines and the rest of Loud just pile in.
Okay, so Devil's Advocate time. Multiple members on Los Grandes have just hit their 2 item spikes. This is the closest they're going to be in power level to their opposite members on Loud for a while. So I think going for a TP play makes a lot of sense.
Huge stun out of lava, but it doesn't claim anyone from Loud just yet. Seos is still alive, and another hostile takeover completely reverses the flow of the fight. Robo is 1v4, and he almost takes out Hirit as Croc slides in to do the job. Rangers on the retreat, and this may be the closest they're going to get. There is still a canyon between these teams, a bailout to keep the mid laner alive, as Ranger is the last one standing, and Loud destroying the base.
Not sure if they're going to be able to go for anything much more than an inhib here. Respawns are going to take a while to come through from Los Grandes, but CS does not have a lot of HP. So I think rotating into the mid lane, possibly the safer option for Loud. What a fight. That looks so good for Los Grandes at the start. Going for the flank play is exactly what you want to be doing, but crucially, they weren't able to take those health bars down.
And for the first couple seconds, it was 5v4. For the first couple seconds, Lava landed a 3-man ultimate. And if we go back, look at that fight, and they win it right there. If Los Grandes had won this fight, we would have called it for Lava. But look at the way that Loud play it out. As everybody from Los Grandes is desperately trying to engage, Root has time to peel back, and Robo decides, you know what? I'll stick around.
Yeah, and I think something of key importance there is Croc actually going on to Natuno right at the start of the play. Even when his backline was getting engaged on, he recognizes that the burst is all out from the Annie. What I need to do is keep this Xayah away from my team, prevent her from dealing a load of damage. And because of that, Loud were just about able to get the victory in that fight. And now they may potentially be grabbing their 3rd Infernal Drake of the game.
As you said, these power spikes still relevant in this fight. Never more so for Los Grandes. They got so close. We've got Summoners expended.
No.
Root Splash is about to be up, but the teleport from Robo is down. Zai going on the engage right now, wants to try and find the top laner. The rest of Los Grandes are piling in, but they lose the Infernal Dragon for it, giving the 3rd of the game over to Loud, and Robo is still goddamn alive.
That Weaver's Wall from Tenos was massive, and they're just going to one-shot Hirit.
They just spent so much chasing down Robo. Hostile takeover is beautiful to keep the members of Los Grandes in place, but Root does get burst down, reversing the flow of the fight, as Los Grandes now are in charge, and Loud, recognizing that, have to back off.
Okay. Still, the team fights going back and forth. That's two now that we've seen from Los Grandes that maybe weren't necessarily pure winning plays. They're still losing out on stuff, but not completely disastrous. And with your Nexus being, well, only so far removed from Loud's grasp, it's so clutch that you're able to make these plays in these team fights. And now, hey, Natuno, 3 items on the Zaya. Lava scaling up. Both of your carries very, very close to level 16. Loud, they are in the advantage. They should win this game, but Los Grandes are holding on.
Yeah, we haven't seen the triple inhib just yet. The single one, absolutely comebackable for Los Grandes, and I think one of the bigger problems for Los Grandes actually has been staging those comebacks. We've talked about it previously, but Loud in their singular loss in this series so far have been the ones that made the games last the longest. In the whole league throughout the regular season, Los Grandes had the fastest average losses. When they were losing, they went down like a sack of bricks. And while it hasn't been the same here as during the regular season, Los Grandes are still not demonstrating that same level of staying in charge of the game as Loud did in their loss in Game 2.
It was game management, right? I think is the phrase that we were using to describe the victory in Game 2. Not as clean as it could have been, but still in with a shot. Looking for this mid lane tower. Loud's maybe looking to contest with Hirit on the bottom side.
Debating what the best course of action is. Now, Zay always able to whip you out of position, so you gotta be careful how you step to this Los Grandes roster. But Loud are just aiming straight for the mid lane, clear out the wave for now, opening up a flank for Hirit and Zai, but leaving Ranger, Netuno, and Lava isolated. Retreating now, Loud have first dibs on the Baron on the entire top side jungle of Los Grandes, and they may very well go for both.
Maybe you see that chunk onto Robo there. That was literally just Netuno having a fraction of a second to open up and pull some feathers back. Los Grandes, they are moving over. The Baron is almost gone.
It's gone. There's no way to get that. By the time that Los Grandes see it, Purple Worm no longer lies with them, and I like the way Loud are moving right now. They ain't resetting. They are taking no prisoners. They are instead looking to take down inhibitor towers.
I mean, why would they reset? They didn't have to burn any of their ultimates. They've spent no cooldowns to get that Baron, and the Los Grandes defense is going to come through a little late. Hook onto the Renekton!
Does he live? Gets popped into the GA. Still a lot of zoning out of this Renekton. Netuno finally forced to ult. Doesn't get anybody as he grabs the feathers right back. But another hostile takeover stalls Los Grandes, chunks their health bars, and puts Loud on the front foot as Root chews through you with the firing of this blue gun. What's it called? Blue... I've lost it.
Infernum, something
Infernum,
like that.
Thank you, Infernum. Flash forward from Zay, doesn't quite get him. Zay? Does he die? Okay.
He's fine for now. Okay, Loud are going to try and push for the win. They've got so many minions coming through. Los Grandes 4v5.
Netuno is still here. He's got to do the damage that we know this Zaya can. Melts Robo for now, but the Nexus is under fire, and there's no way to stop it. Loud end the series here and push themselves forward in the playoffs.
Okay, dear. That got pretty damn close at the end, but that series conclusively Loud's to take